Hi guys, this is Momin, and this is probably the first time that you're seeing me in a hoodie because it's winter time in Pakistan. So I have my hoodies and my sweaters out, but that's irrelevant information for now. Anyway, I wrote this Facebook post a few months ago on the OCD recovery Facebook group, and I wrote down some tips and key realizations that I have had on my recovery process so far. And I thought that might be helpful for you guys. So, and now I want to do a video on that so I can share that on YouTube too. So let's see what I wrote a few months ago and hope that it you're able to relate to it the way I have been able to relate to it as well. Um, so yeah, I'll start with the first point. So accepting, and by accepting, I don't mean just acknowledging, but truly accepting that you have OCD, there is a disorder that you have, is is a really great starting point, I would say, and it can help you set the right tone for your recovery process because while we are trying to work on recovery, very often a lot of people can also do that to outrun the label of having OCD, and they don't want to be associated with it, and so they want to get recovered as soon as possible so that they can leave it far behind in the past and not be able to think about it or again like associate themselves with that label. But that won't help you because the fact of the matter is that you have OCD, and even if you do get recovered from it, it would still be in the past. It's still something that you went through at some point, so you cannot completely dissociate from it in that sense. So, and that's not a bad thing. That's not something to be hopeless or get down about. That's actually reaching a true place of acceptance and peace that okay, this is my life, or this is what my life has been like, or will be like for some time, and it really brings down the levels of pressure and expectation and frustration that you are constantly piling up on yourself by desperately wanting to outrun, like I said, outrun this OCD, this big bag monster. So yeah, I think that's something that can be very important. And then with that also truly acknowledging and coming to terms with the fact that recovery in itself is a very hard process. It does not come easy, and it is not a very smooth sailing thing to go through. It's something that even I have struggled with as of very recently as well. Just 2 weeks ago, I was talking in my WhatsApp group, and I had to face some tough exposures, and so I was like, I don't want to go through this, and this is so hard. I wish it was easier, and I believe it was Rob who in the group said that this is not Disney. And that's true. I mean, I think even though I logically and rationally knew that recovery is a hard process, I was still deep down wishfully hoping that it is not. And somehow I'm able to get through it smoothly and with not too much difficulty. If and I was thinking maybe if I just pace myself the right way with exposures, maybe if I just do it in the right amount, or I face this discomfort slowly but surely, it will pass on. But no, I mean that's really not how it happens. So it takes a while to really come to terms with the fact that it is difficult. Um, yeah. Number two, keeping an open mind. So I did a video on this, a separate video on why it's important to keep an open mind and be open to new ways of looking at life, at yourself, at people, new ways of thinking and behaving. Because we have to realize that the way that we have been behaving and thinking and feeling so far in our life has not really served us. If it really had served us, we would not be suffering from OCD or be chronically anxious or worried or fearful all the time. So it's extremely important to be open to change as well. It because recovery is of sorts, it is uprooting your old patterns and trying to adopt new and more flexible ones. Kirsty has done a video on this, talking about why we can be resistant to change through the recovery process, and yeah, there's she's also done one on accepting that you have OCD in the first place. So that could be a good one to watch for the first point that I mentioned. Um, Number three, talking to other people in the community. This is something that has been super helpful for me. Number one, it really, really helped me connect to other people and feel not alone at all. Because for many, many years, that's how I felt having OCD. I had nobody to relate to, I had nobody to really talk to, or somebody who really understood what I was going through. You can sense my frustration as I express that. But yeah, connecting to other people is something that was like remarkable and a real turning point uh, in my recovery journey so far. And but the important part to remember over here is not just um, the good that comes with connecting with other people and just talking about your problems, because if you just speak to other people or connect with the OCD community just to vent and rant and just talk about yourself, that might end up making you feel even less alone, honestly. That might end up making you feel, still making you feel alone. Sorry for the incorrect wording. Because what you're doing is you're keeping your focus just on yourself. It's still a very internal focus. You are not, by talking to other people just about yourself, you're not truly relating to them. And so to talk to others and hear them out and understand what they're going through, extend compassion to them, opening that space for them to ask you for advice or ask for help or just support or just for them to vent. That is something that can enable you to exercise empathy, which again is an important component in recovery. To be able to put yourself in other people's shoes, to leave yourself for a moment and not be so caught up in your own thought process or behavior patterns, it can be something that is immensely helpful to be able to help other people out or just hear them out. A bonus of that is also to be able to learn from their experience, and even if they don't have the same theme as you, at the end of the day it's still just OCD. So being able to learn lessons from their recovery process and see how they tackled some of the areas and how you can adapt those approaches to your own recovery, that can be instrumental. So definitely talking to other people is a helpful for feeling less alone, yes, but also b, not be caught up in your own self, because that is definitely not helpful for OCD sufferers, because it can lead to a lot of self-deprecation, which I will get to in another point. Number four that I've written is reading. Yeah, so reading is extremely, extremely important. There is a recommended reading list that Rob gives, and it's really important to read that. Even if you have not been a reader growing up, it's a good way to build that muscle, and you kind of have to, in a way, to for your recovery process. There are audiobooks available of the recommended reading list, but personally I think that is not as helpful, because the audiobooks, because you are not able to see those concepts in writing, and you're also not able to mark them or highlight them, because to see something in writing, to see it in physical form, is somehow has a different impact on when you are consuming that information. And as humans, I also think that we have our photogenic memory is quite sharp and quite strong, and helps us remember certain things better than when we just hear those things out. So definitely having physical copies of those books, and being able to mark those things down, uh, and just developing a reading habit. And I also understand that we all have very busy lives, and we it is often very difficult to carve out time for reading. But even if you can squeeze in just a few minutes, just even 5 minutes of the day, maybe before going to bed, you can just read 2 pages, because you have to start somewhere, and you have to. So even if it's like 2 pages a day, or maybe just like 4 pages a day, that is something that can slowly build up to you finishing that book, basically. Better than not doing anything at all. One thing that I sometimes also think is, when you go to the bathroom, like, just take the book with you. That's a really good time where you can disconnect from the world and just focus on the reading part. That's my honest, genuine advice. So yeah, reading, developing that habit, getting in the flow, building that momentum every day, even if it's just a page, is crucial, because that is where you will build your awareness and understanding of OCD, anxiety, how to change your perspectives, how to deal with the obstacles that you will face. There, I also did a video on how to start your recovery process, and this is something that I elaborate a little more on in that video as well. So you can watch that too, to understand why the reading list, and educating yourself on OCD and like anxiety and recovery is essential for you. Then number 5, yeah, having activities in your daily routine. So things that you like, things that you personally enjoy. So for me, it is reading. Fortunately, like, I've always loved reading books. So I supplement my reading time with fiction as well, or something that is not related to anxiety or OCD or self help. But so I do reading. Exploring music and listening to music is something that I indulge in almost on a daily basis, and like, I carve out time for just listening and just chilling, and yeah, really taking it in. So that I also like doing theater. Sometimes I enjoy, this happens less, but I also enjoy doing art as well, or writing. So these are some activities that I enjoy for myself, and having these activities, and also cycling and going for walks, that's something I really enjoy. These are things that, if you supplement, or if you like incorporate these things in your routine, it helps you. It really honestly helps not taking dictation from anxiety or OCD or your fears, and living and being able to have that sense that you are able to live your life on your own terms despite having OCD. So, and also having some kind of structure to your routine, or keeping yourself on your feet. Those are important things to have for your recovery process, because you don't want to spend your entire day chronically anxious or worried about certain things. You also don't want to spend your entire day avoiding or not doing things that you like to do. And even if you are working on recovery, you don't have to work on it 24/7. You can, and you should, in fact, incorporate certain activities that you just enjoy in life, certain skills that you have, or certain habits that you want to have in your life. So do that. Don't let OCD stop you from, I don't know, learning to play the guitar, or going on a hike, or meeting up with friends, or whatever else activity that you enjoy doing. Those can be very instrumental in just not being locked up in anxiety all the time. Then number 6, yes, self-deprecation that I mentioned, and self-pity. These are things that will really not help you get anywhere, honestly, because the more you are the more you are self-deprecating and self-pitying, oh my god, I have OCD, oh my god, my life is so bad, it is not getting better, I am not recovering, I hate all of this. Like, I get that. I really do get that. But at the end of the day, if you do that, you just end up in a cycle of complaining, and which and that does not amount to any change or progress that you can make in your life. It will really not do any good. What is better is to, yes, obviously, not saying that this is not difficult, yes, truly acknowledging that this is a difficult process, and it is not easy, and it does suck at times, but to flip that self-deprecation, or that need to be self-deprecating or give yourself pity, to flip that and turn it into self-compassion, and to see that, yes, despite having this difficulty in your life, or trying to get through these really big obstacles, you are, at the end of the day, trying to get better. You are trying your best to live your life, or to the best of your ability, and yeah, so just being easy on yourself, because obviously, as OCD sufferers, it is not easy to at times get by in the day, but to extend that empathy and that compassion to yourself is can really really change your outlook and your approach, and the way you are able to hone your recovery skills and just work on it at the end of the day. Breaking that self-deprecation and self-pity cycle is also then changes the narrative that you are constantly weaving around your OCD suffering. It really does, because and Oliver talked about this in, I know I'm referring to like a lot of other videos, but I mean, these are, if you really watch all these videos like together, they can all line up and make this really nice web of perspectives and philosophies to have in your life. So, but yeah, Oliver talked about this in his latest video that he did, the kind of approach that you need and the kind of mindset that you need for recovery, where he says that don't have the mindset of a victim, have the mindset of a survivor. And I think that not being self-deprecating is something that can really help you have the mindset and perspective of a survivor. Honestly, self-victimization really does not help. I've seen at times myself do that as well. I hate to admit that, but yeah, I have done that, and I've seen other people do that as well. But it never really leads to change. The last 2 points are, yeah, so aiming for perfection. This is something again that I think I did for a long time with many many things. Even if it was, I don't know, giving someone a certain birthday present, or for example, if there's a singer whose music that I admire, if they put up new music, I would want to wait for like the perfect time, or I would curate the perfect moment and the perfect environment to listen to that music, so that I can, really just enjoy it. But I always ended up feeling like, whenever I did that, and whenever I did not aim for spontaneity, and I was aiming for perfection, that would kind of take the joy out of consuming whatever I wanted to consume. Honestly, it would make me feel so. It would make it feel anticlimactic, to be very honest. So one thing that I definitely did start to do, deliberately, in fact, was to do those things that I wanted to do without waiting for the perfect moment, or without curating that perfect environment. So even with something like music, I would listen to it even if, for example, I was not by myself. If my brother was in the room with me, or there was some kind of background noise going on, or I was not in the best place mentally, or I was feeling sad for some reason, or just anxious, or whatever it was. I still went for it because I was like, I don't want to wait for like the perfect opportunity to do that. And also aiming for perfection or getting things just right is kind of something that a lot of OCD sufferers go through. So breaking that habit and breaking that cycle is important. Maraik has done a video on perfectionism or in OCD. Yes, she that I think that's the name of the video. She has done that as well, and honestly, that it's all about trying to exert control and having control and chasing feelings. That's what perfectionism often does, and both those things are illusions in life. There is no perfection, to be very honest, um, and if you chase a certain feeling, if you're trying to give birth to a certain feeling in that moment, it will not come to you because OCD latches onto the things that you value or care about the most in the moment. So if I'm chasing for happiness or joy or thrill by listening to a new song, I will not feel that. OCD will make me feel very indifferent and numb and removed from that, in fact. So yeah, just stop doing that. I have more, for the most part, stopped trying to do that, and I would say I feel, in fact, in those areas at least, I genuinely do feel less anxious or frustrated or emotionless. I, in fact, now feel more emotions by being more spontaneous in my life. I don't know why this is spontaneity, this head movement, anyway. Um, and the last thing, which I think is very important, and I don't mean that as, like, I don't mean this as something fluffy or like yeah, this is not flimsy advice. This is, I think, I genuinely think this is something very helpful, and that is humor. Humor has been so instrumental for me. I know it has been very helpful for other people as well, where you have the ability to, like, for a moment, not take yourself so seriously. And I think as OCD sufferers, we really need that, to not take ourselves so seriously, to not be so like this is the end of the world, to not have that mindset all the time, and to just be able to laugh at yourself for a moment and at the absurdity of your fears and worries and your thoughts and even behaviors, in fact. And also just be able to laugh at other people sometimes, like that's what we do in the WhatsApp group, to just lighten up sometimes. We really need that. And it really helps in starting to take your fears and your worries and your anxieties again less seriously, because the more serious we take them, the more we believe them, the more we fear them, the more we think that, oh my god, if this happens, everything will go to dust. So yeah, taking yourself less seriously really helps in also being able to call out your fears and call out your OCD and say, you know what, I mean, no, like, you're a liar, no. You This is not true, and not just true, that I can, even if this happens, I can still handle it. So it really does help break and just kind of at times shatter the bleakness and the sadness and the glumness and gloominess that and morbidity that OCD is constantly throwing at us and making us feel like. So yeah, humor is definitely very important. So if somebody in the OCD community laughs at you, or if you laugh at yourself, don't take that take that as a good sign, in fact. I think and indulge in that laughter. It really, yeah, it's really helpful, honestly. Try it and you will see that, and it just gives you an opportunity to experience joy in your life, where you are so caught up in feeling anxious. It really does help inject some joy and laughter. So yeah, these are the things that I touched upon, and I still stand by them after all these months, because these have been helpful for me in my process. They continue to help and support me in doing the recovery work, but also getting by in life and not taking OCD that seriously, and not having it stop me from living the life that I want to live, despite the fears and the compulsions that sometimes kick in. Yeah, that's it for now, and hopefully this is helpful for you, and hopefully this is you can adapt these few realizations and tips into your own recovery work. So this video is almost half an hour long, but yeah. Anyway, more of me. So I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.